Welcome to Fear Travel, where we locate haunted places you must visit across the world. In this video, we will mention 5 most terrifying haunted places in Japan. Number 1. Aokigahara Forest, also known as the Suicide Forest. Aokigahara Forest, broadly known as the Suicide Forest. It is situated at the foot of perhaps the most lovely mountain on the planet, Mount Fuji. By and large, it is said that Aokigahara timberland was where priests would go to starve themselves to death. Others say it was likewise used to rehearse yubatsu, or the act of passing on elderly ladies to bite the dust in the woodland. In present-day days, it is known to be the go-to backwoods for the people who need to end it all. As per Japanese fables, the people who have ended it all in the woodland keep on meandering through the trees. It is said that they keep on welcoming others to partake in their equivalent destiny. Individuals have announced hearing startling shouts and screams when in the profundities of the timberland. A few climbers are sufficiently fearless to travel across the backwoods. Be cautioned, compasses and GPS frequently don't work around here. It is accepted that there are high iron stores in the dirt due to the volcanic ground. A few explorers would utilize tape and string it along behind them to ensure they can view as their way back, yet there have been accounts of individuals having their tape purposely cut, leaving the climbers lost in the forest just to discover some way back out of the woods that appears to need to keep them in. Stories would discuss how it might have been the past apparitions of those that have ended it all, or devils of the timberland that have made these reason for gathering spirits. Anything it is, assuming you choose to travel this backwoods, try to be prepared for what might look for you. Number 2. Old Inunaki Tunnel. Old Inunaki Tunnel has many stories being told about it. The legend of the passage and town were motivations for the film Wailing Village by the maker of Ju-on, Takashi Shimizu. They say it got its name from the Inunaki town. However, there is a valley that is likewise named Inunaki. Individuals say that the town was established during the Edo time frame and that the residents made stoneware and cast steel. Coal mining then, at that point, turned into another type of work nearby, and they had the Inunaki Goken Palace in 1865. After this, they constructed the Inunaki Dam, and it is said that the town was deserted and the inhabitants moved to a close-by town. This neglected town has been the wellspring of the frightful stories that individuals have told about the passage. They say a youthful couple once drove up Mount Inunaki and were passing by the Inunaki Passage, yet out of nowhere the motor failed and they wound up expecting to stroll to track down help. In the wake of strolling for some time, the couple saw a sign the Constitution of Japan no longer applies after this point. The street was troublesome, yet they wound up at the unwanted town. The couple was always unable to leave the town. Assuming you go to the Inunaki Passage, you might find the neglected vehicle canvassed in greenery. The frightening stories about this passage don't end there. It gets grim from here. A few homicides have likewise occurred at this passage. Its detached plan makes it a spot for unlawful deeds to occur. One homicide story is about a little kid who was never let go, and along these lines, she has been tormenting the passage. A spirit that is tormented to stay in the passage and has been spreading the word about her presence for the people who enter it. Past guests of the passage say you can hear murmuring, mumbles, and perhaps the weak sound of somebody saying the word stop. All alerts from the past advising you to stay away from and leave the spot. The people who love tormented undertakings have really considered visiting this passage. They have been observers to encounters of jabbing and pushing. One more story of homicide had occurred in Inunaki Borough is about an assembly line laborer who was stolen and tormented by 5 youthful criminals who needed to take his vehicle. They consumed him to death with gas while inside the passage. The killers were captured and condemned to life in jail. What horrendous destiny has come upon individuals at this passage? It has now been closed on the 2 finishes, so guests can never again enter through this old Inunaki Passage. Right up to the present day, regardless of it being quit for the day, say electronic gadgets and vehicles stall around the passage, and you can hear the sound of canines yapping and snarling, perhaps hear a shriek coming from the stomach of the passage dimness. Be cautious when you visit this passage. It appears to accompany a great deal of setback for the individuals who go close to it. Number 3. Oiran Buchi. The story behind this chasm or cascade called Oiran Buchi is one moved by underhanded aims. During the hour of steady, thoughtful conflict, the Sengoku time frame, one of the great families was the Taikta faction. This tribe benefited extraordinarily from the gold they took from the mines. The excavators were working around here, and very much like in most mining towns, the pervasiveness of prostitution, subsequently massage parlors, were available. After the clash of Nagashino, the Taikta family had wanted to leave the region. A huge stage was built over the Yanagisawa stream. The whores were then welcome to rehearse a dance for the goodbye party on top of the stage. As they were moving, the officers hacked the plants that held the stage up. 55 lives were lost that day. The ladies fell into the chasm, and however some were killed during the underlying fall, the others that entered the fall were killed once they went over the cascade. The bodies were viewed as downstream by Tapeyama locals. Later on, a landmark in memory of the casualties was fabricated. It is said that the Taikta family had utilized female ninjas to assist with social event data about their partners. This implied that they maintained mysteries that the Taikta tribe needed to safeguard safeguard enormously. The ninjas had data about the mines, the group, and their foes. The arranged killing of the horse may really have been a plot to cover the female ninjas of the Take-Two group. Anything that the genuine justification behind the mass homicide, it had left hints of howling and crying at the chasm. Unexpected passings like this prompt spirits to engrave on an area. Most paranormal action that has been accounted for about the Oiran Buchi has happened around evening time, the most widely recognized being shouts, yet there have been encounters of individuals hearing singing on the extension, perhaps leftovers from the memory of minutes before their tumble to their demises. We exhort that you visit the scaffold during the day, and on the off chance that you are a man, be extra cautious. These vindictive spirits might believe you should encounter their exact same destiny. An extra admonition for those that visit Oiran Buchi: make an effort not to peruse the whole sign. As per legend, in the event that you read it till the end, a revile will be put upon the peruser. Number 4. Okiku's Well. The story behind the phantom that torment Okiku's Well is about a worker house cleaner that had met a lamentable consummation into the profundities of a well. There are numerous renditions of this story about how she is abused and it prompts her demise. It was principally a tale about affection that prompted misfortune. Okiku, a worker house cleaner, was infatuated with a fearless fighter, Kinugasa Matanabu. She was the worker of Aoyama Tetsuzan, a compelling samurai who was the official of the leader of the palace, Master Norimoto. Aoyama Tetsuzan wanted to hold on to the palace so he could run the show. Okiku knew about this arrangement and illuminated her sweetheart, Kinugasa Matanabu. Ruler Norimoto had the option to get away from before the assault occurred. Aoyama Tetsuzan realized it was Okiku who had revealed his arrangement. He had an assistant to this arrangement. His name was Danshiro. Danshiro was known to be an egotistical and scheming man. They were going to rebuff her for destroying their arrangement. In any case, Danshiro needed to involve this chance for his very own benefit. He was so fascinated by her excellence that he intended to involve this as a method for inspiring her to wed him. He extorted her by saying that she will be given kindness assuming she decides to wed him. Okiku was profoundly infatuated with Kinugasa Matanabu, so she declined his proposition. Taking care of business and not understanding that no means no, he doesn't surrender. He then takes a plate from 10 important legacy plates of the Aoyama family. He then attempts to control her once more, tells her that the family will falter for the lost plates and she is only a worker. Taking his risk, he proposes to her once more, getting one more dismissal. She would prefer to pass on than wed him. Rage overwhelms his body and quickly he kills her. He then, at that point, takes her dead body to the well to disguise the homicide that just occurred. Till this day, the well is there at Hanji Palace. They say in the event that you stand near the well and listen cautiously, you can hear a lady's murmur counting 1 to 9, again and again. Her spirit is still fretfully searching for the 10th plate. Number 5. Round Schoolhouse. The last, however certainly not the most untormented put on the rundown, is the round school building in Hokkaido. It was worked in 1906 with a round plan. It was utilized as a school from the 1940s to the 1970s. For obscure reasons, it was closed down and left deserted. The streets paving the way to the school have been covered by the woods encompassing it, so the best way to get to the school presently is by foot. Local people have seen strange lights, shadowy figures, and shouts from the forest. Rumors have spread far and wide suggesting that youngsters who had gone to play in the forest would wind up staying away forever. Mediums have expressed that there is a staggering negative otherworldly energy nearby. Many will not return. Indeed, even those that reach investigate the unwanted structure wind up vanishing suddenly. There have been deserted vehicles whose proprietors stayed away forever. There are additionally those that have returned from the visit and have ended up being totally crazy, guaranteeing that the reason for this madness was anything they had seen during their visit. It has every one of the makings of a blood and gore flick you can track down here. A gathering of guests shared that they felt the disrupting cold and shadows following them. Not long after the paranormal action would heighten rapidly. For example, things being pushed over, entryways closing, and undetectable elements. It is guaranteed that there is a vortex or between layered entryway inside the round school building. Onlookers have professed to have seen a kind of flashing entrance to an alternate aspect. Really reconsider you visit this spooky spot. It accompanies dangers and rushes of finding something incredible. That summarizes the rundown of the most spooky spots in Japan as per Grins. Grins loves to keep individuals cheerful, and in the event that creepy experiences are your thing, take a stab at arranging a visit to the spooky spots we recorded previously. Share your spine-chilling stories with us by remarking it down underneath. We couldn't imagine anything better than to hear the encounters you have had at these spots. These are just a few haunted places in Japan you should visit. Subscribe to our channel to find out what haunted places to travel to next.